Alright, it's time for the top 10, but who is number 1? I mean, we all know already, but let's have some fun anyways. I'm John Rentham with my real honest thoughts on WWE's 50 Greatest Tag Teams Part 3. Couple quick notes, I do apologize for how late this video is. I had intended to record shortly after Part 2. I've been busy with work, dealing with personal things, been in a bit of a state of flux, so to speak. Don't worry, everything is evening out. If you checked out my recent channel update video, thank you guys for reaching out in the comments and reaching out on Twitter. I really do appreciate it, but I am good. And I want to say, before I dive into this list, I'm always here to talk to you guys, whether in the comments or on Twitter. You guys have helped me through a lot, and I intend to continue to help you guys through a lot, because we're all just wrestling fans, we're all just people, and we're all just trying to make it in this crazy world. But let's talk about some wrestling. They really could have just taken the top 10, put it in one video, and maybe taken the supplemental footage that they had of the various women's tag teams and other tag teams that did not compete in WWE, and just, maybe had like a 45-minute piece where we found out a little bit more instead of just seeing a few video clips. But, it is what it is. WWE is going to do what they want because they have more money than the goddamn federal government. Maybe not more money than Disney, but pretty damn close. So, anyways, it is a subjective list. I'm going to have choice words for a couple of the entrants, and maybe have suggested that a couple should have been removed, especially one that shouldn't have been anywhere near the goddamn top 10, but these are just my takes. So we go number 10, the British Bulldogs. Despite the fact that Dynamite Kid's a goddamn piece of shit, and I don't feel one goddamn bit bad for what happened to him because he did it to himself because he was, again, a piece of shit, him and Davey Boy Smith were a hell of a goddamn tag team, and from the moment they arrived in WWE, even, when they went to All Japan, because they were like, okay, we're not being used, we're going to do that, and then Vince had to go over there when he was, partnering with Antonio Inoki, and he had to go to talk to Giant Baba, and that must have, ruffled some feathers, so to speak, but they were great in Stampede Wrestling. They were great in WWE, they were great in Japan, and they were a hell of a goddamn tag team. They were fucking tremendous. That Hart Foundation feud, working with the Dream Team, Greg Valentine and Bruce Beefcake, and, around 300 days as tag team champions, had Dynamite not suffered that back injury, they might have actually held on to them past WrestleMania 3. They were a really goddamn great tag team. They really were. They had Matilda there. That poor Bulldog. That must have been, a bit of a challenge for her to go on the goddamn road. But you know what? Hey, British Bulldogs, they're cute in their own way. They're not necessarily an animal I would get because they're kind of high maintenance, but, that dog added a lot to them. Yes, it was a little bit cartoonish, but WWE, of course, are going to make it a bit cartoonish, but the Bulldogs were incredible in the ring. Even Dynamite being the piece of shit and, attacking people like he did and being a little bit rough, Davey was a goddamn natural, and they were a natural tag team. They absolutely should have been in the top 10. I would have put them a little bit higher, like I would have put them above the Brothers of Destruction. Easy for me to say. The Undertaker and Kane. Sure, they have star power. And they teamed up at various points and everything, whether faces or heels, and it was what it was. And they had impactful moments. I wouldn't have put them above the Bulldogs. I just wouldn't. Yes, people could say, well, for longevity. Yeah, but they weren't ever a full-time tag team past, like, a number of months. I mean, it made sense, given the fact that Undertaker is The Undertaker. And Kane, rose up and was a tremendous single star in his own right. But I would have put him maybe number 20. I wouldn't have put them, as high as this. I get why they did, because it is a WWE-centric list. And they were tag team champions. They were WCW tag team champions at one point. SummerSlam 2001. I'm going to be retro-reviewing that, where Canyon and DDP just got freaking mauled. God damn, that was so fucking ridiculous. So fucking bad. And they would team up, at various points and everything, including that, not so good series of matches in 2018, and you know which ones I'm talking about and everything. Oh, that Saudi show where Sean came out of retirement. I hope it was worth it. I really hope it was fucking worth it. But the Brothers of Destruction, great goddamn tag team when they appeared and when they had their moments. You were captivated by them. Because Undertaker and Kane, it's like, who the fuck's going to stop them? They always found ways around it and everything, like a 2-on-1 situation where even Kane couldn't handle it. Or they would do fluke shit and everything, and one would run off and chase somebody, and then the other would get beat up. But hey, they were an impactful tag team as far as star power. So I get it, but I would have put them out of the top 10. And then we have women's tag teams. The Bellas, besides, the influence that they had and the fans they have, they can fuck all the way off. I don't wish anything bad for them outside the ring, but no. Never cared for the Bellas. Singles or, being tag team. Neither of them could really do much of anything. And then the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, they were great, but I'm glad they got a mention. But, I preferred them as single stars, even though they did have some pretty damn good matches and some good, and worked well together, because naturally they would, since you could tell they had a camaraderie. Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. I mean, all right, they did work well together. It is kind of funny, though, that after waiting, to review this, like, for a couple weeks, they just recently did the turn where Dakota, you never trust a woman that displays her pink on camera that much, because she's just going to blitz you and then stand over, draping her pink all over you. What am I even on about? The Jumping Bomb Angels. Yeah, the Jumping Bomb Angels and the Glamour Girls. They were going to have a tag team match, a women's tag team match at WrestleMania 5, which was going to be a big goddamn deal. And then Fabulous Moolah had them switch, said, no, you need to switch the titles. The office has told me to do that. They switch it in Japan or something like that, or it was some, I can't remember if it was Japan or if it was like some, I know it was an overseas tour. And then word got back, and they thought they went into business for themselves, and they got cost a huge payday because Fabulous Moolah is a goddamn stupid bitch that is burning in hell, and fuck the Fabulous Moolah, I'm glad she's dead. So, had to get that one in. But Jumping Bomb Angels and Glamour Girls, yeah, they absolutely deserve to be mentioned. Especially for just, like, history. Because Jumping Bomb Angels in particular were a big goddamn deal. They were exciting to watch. And Glamour Girls, yeah, it was 80s. Hair, 80s hair and shoulder pads and all that craziness and everything, but Lolani Kai and Judy Martin, they were really good. And then we get Baszler and Nia. No, just no. Nothing against Baszler. I like Baszler, but Nia, no. Nia does not deserve to be mentioned anywhere in any kind of pantheon of, like, decent teams, because she's fucking terrible, and Baszler had to carry her, so no wonder Baszler was frustrated. So then we get Ember and Shotzi. I mean, they're good, but I don't know. I really wouldn't have put them here. But, I mean, I'm glad they got a mention because they are talented. And then Alexa and Nikki. I mean, fine, I guess. Candice and Indy. Anytime I can see Indy Hartwell on my screen, I'm always happy. And Candice can wrestle, but she shouldn't talk. Bayley and Sasha. Yes, absolutely. Bayley and Sasha should be mentioned. The Golden Shower role models. Wait, that came out wrong. That is the Randy Orton thing. So Bayley and Sasha should absolutely be mentioned, though, for what they did, and especially being a big part of why the Thunderdome era, especially Bayley, why the Thunderdome era, which I hope we don't go back to, was not as bad, despite the dubbed-in crowd noise and all the bullshit and the loudness of, like, the Thunderdome and the glowing screens and everything. But yeah, they were a hell of a team. And then we get to number 8, the New Age Outlaws, Billy Gunn and Road Dogg. In what motherfucking universe is the New Age Outlaws considered a great goddamn tag team? Yes, they got big reactions and everything. Everybody got big reactions. Val Venus got big goddamn reactions in the Attitude Era, and Val Venus is a goddamn piece of shit that is rotting away, and I don't feel one goddamn bit bad for him. Yes, Billy Gunn was a better tag team wrestler than he was a singles wrestler, and that's not to say that he wasn't really good in the ring, but Billy worked better in tag teams. Smoking Guns, New Age Outlaws. He's working well with his sons now. Billy and Chuck, pretty underappreciated tag team. Billy Gunn was the star of that as far as, like, his ability. Road Dogg could do the promo. That's the one thing Road Dogg could do. He could talk. He also talks a line of BS because he's been, hit in the head far too many times, and he has questionable views, shall we say. But whatever. He's a fucking idiot. But regardless of how I feel about Road Dogg as a person, no, I wouldn't put them anywhere near my top 10. They would have been maybe number 30. Maybe. Like, sorry, yes, big reactions, and they won Tag Team Gold in 2014 when they had no business winning Tag Team Gold because they weren't any fucking good. I mean, yeah, it was great that they came back. Okay, cool, nostalgia pop, and they beat the Usos, and then the Usos beat them, and then it was just ridiculous. It was fucking ridiculous. I don't like New Age Outlaws as far as being considered one of the best tag teams. Yeah, they got big reactions, but it was the Attitude Era. Again, everybody got big reactions. Except maybe when they did the whole Terry Reynolds miscarriage angle, and that was terrible, and Ed Ferrara and Vince Russo deserved to burn in hell for putting shit like that on my television screen. But anyway, let's get to number 7, the Usos, 6-time tag team champions, and yeah, that feud with the New Day. The feud day, if you will. And, I mean, I didn't care for the rap battle, but that one line, don't get all rated R like your boy Xavier Woods, which was funny. It was a funny line. I'm not saying that, it wasn't ill-advised at the same time, but there's plenty of shit in wrestling that's ill-advised. But it makes sense. I'm actually shocked the Usos aren't in the top 5. I get it makes sense given who is above them. At least they were above the New Age Outlaws, because god damn the fucking New Age Outlaws. I can't get over that. Usos, though, great goddamn tag team, longevity. Maybe Jimmy could get, an Uber or whatever and, not drive himself around until he can get the help he needs. But the Usos, as far as in-ring tag team work, that feud with the New Day, as I said, that Hell in a Cell match, Hell in a Cell 2017 still sticks out in my mind. They are really good. The Road Warriors / Legion of Doom. What can be said about this incredible tag team that wrestled in Georgia Championship Wrestling, AWA, Jim Crockett Promotions, WWE? They wrestled in, New Japan, or was it New Japan or New Japan? It was New Japan. Sometimes some of those things, it was fantastic to wrestle for Baba in All Japan. They were big everywhere. I mean, literally and figuratively. How could they not be? I mean, when they had Iron Man, and they came out at those Japanese shows, the people popped. Whether they understood the goddamn lyrics or not, didn't matter, because the Road Warriors is, just appeal cross all boundaries, all language barriers, all that. Like, they were absolute, they were treated like fucking gods. And that music, that opening guitar, that kind of stuff, I can't even do justice with him. And that was back when Ozzy sort of made sense. Sort of. British Bulldogs forever! Ozzy, do you remember that? No, I really don't, which I don't think he was lying about. That was during the guest host phase. Back to the Road Warriors. Great goddamn team. They would have been they are my number 2, personally. And I don't mean as far as shit, I mean as far as tag teams. No, actually they're number 1. The Steiner Brothers are number 2. You can really go 1 and 1A there. The Road Warriors are the Road Warriors have to be like up, there on somebody's favorite list of favorite tag teams. Especially if you're a longtime fan. If you're a newer fan, I can understand maybe if you don't care as much for the Road Warriors. But there's just such an appreciation for how these guys just steamrolled everybody. They just fucking destroyed everybody. Like, they ran through every single goddamn team. And they have so many classic matches. They had those great, they helped keep the AWA afloat for a while when Vern was doing everything he could to run off everybody because he was being a goddamn idiot. And then when they went back to Jim Crockett Promotions, they had that series of matches against the Russians. And they were suddenly good guys. Even though they started out as heels, it was impossible to boo them because they didn't cheat. And even when they cheated, even when Ellering was there with them, people just gravitated towards them. And they had that scaffold match with the Midnight Express at Starrcade 86. They win the tag titles at Starrcade 87. And then as things went on, even though they were featured, Dusty tried to turn them heel, Spike in the Eye thing. That didn't work. And then they came to WWE. When the last match that they had in WCW, at least on pay-per-view, they had a couple house shows afterwards. Capital Combat, I believe they teamed with Norman the Lunatic. Thanks, Jim Herd, you fucking idiot. God, fucking idiot deserves a burn in hell whenever he's gone from this earth. But anyway, they came to WWE, faced Demolition. That feud was blown up pretty quickly. And then they beat the Nasty Boys, won the tag titles. Then there were the drug issues and stuff like that. They would separate. They would show up in WCW a little bit. They would come back to WWE. The whole Hawk angle of him falling off the Titantron was very ill-advised. Ill-advised seems to be the best word for this show. And I don't mean just this video, I mean my channel. I kid. I know you guys like it, and I like having fun. But that aside, their legacy speaks for itself. I would have put them higher, but if they're just basing it on their WWE run, I get why others are put higher. And then we go to part 5, which is the top 5. The Dudleys, ECW, WCW. I believe they were the WCW Tag Team Champions for a brief spell during the Invasion angle. Everybody had a belt. I think I had a belt, and I was just a fan. And still am just a fan. WWE, IWGP Tag Team Champions, Impact Tag Team Champions. Yeah, I mean, they did it all. They did some great stuff. They were as close to what the Road Warriors could have been as far as no territories, but as far as tag team gold. The TLC matches, 2018 Hall of Famers, Devon, get the tables, Bubba, maybe, don't approach fans and get all upset just because they were doing essentially what you did and upsetting people because, the person that you either were or still are dating isn't very good in the ring and has no business being in a wrestling ring of any kind. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, their legacy speaks for itself. The table stuff, heels, faces, didn't matter. Sure, they weren't always booked the best. Sometimes there were questionable moments, but they were really, really good. And come on, the amount of tag team gold alone, they deserve to be there. Edge and Christian. For the benefit of those who flash photography, the TLC matches, the tag title reigns that reeked of awesomeness. And then some of the humor is kind of like ridiculous. I did appreciate though where it was like in 2000 where it was like Mick Foley was the commissioner and he was in a freaking like bathroom, the bathroom at the arena, just because Foley was just having a whole lot of fun with it. And Edge and Christian were going to beat the Hardys, and they said it's going to totally be the shortest reign ever, shortest reign. And he got one of those umbrellas from one of those drinks. And I don't know why that made me laugh. Probably because I love stupid jokes, but that was just so fucking hilarious. But Edge and Christian, they worked well with Kurt. They worked well with Foley, doing the comedy and stuff like that. Yeah, it was stupid, but they were having fun. You could tell they were having fun, and it was nice that they got to have one reunion at the 2021 Rumble, and now Christian Cage is in AEW doing little of note. He's feuding with Matt Hardy, a feud that we all wanted to see in 2021. And by all, I don't know how many people do, but they were absolutely a team that deserved to be mentioned here. Edge and Christian were fucking tremendous. Really fucking tremendous. Edge and Christian literally broke their bodies in those TLC matches and did some great stuff. And also the Steel Cage match at Unforgiven 2000. The ladder match on the following Raw. The, Terry Invitational Tournament. Tit. Am I right, lads? Bouncy tits. The Attitude Era. That was after Russo had left, by the way. After Russo had left the company. Then he went and sunk WCW. Actually, it was AOL Time Warner that did that. Check out my retro reviews of the last year of WCW if you want to hear me. If you want to hear and see me just slowly and rapidly and then rapidly, slowly lose my goddamn mind. Now, I know that doesn't make grammatical sense, but whatever. Edge and Christian, tremendous fucking team. Other tag teams I mentioned. The Outsiders, Hall and Nash. The Eliminators, Saturn and Kronos. The Koloffs, Ivan and Nikita. And Crusher Khrushchev, Barry Darso, he was part of the team too. But if we just focus on Ivan and Nikita, my fucking goodness. I mean, you want to talk about somebody that looked like $1 million. I mean, he wasn't the only one doing the juice and stuff like that. I mean, Hercules and all that. But man, Nikita was a goddamn phenomenon. And now it's in your head. Doom, the tag team of Doom. Shouldn't try to do the Morbo voice there. But yeah, Ron Simmons and Butch Reed with Theodore R. Long, who lost a hair versus hair match at Capital Combat. When Teddy Long had about as much hair as I do, that made sense. And then Steamboat and Youngblood, absolutely, especially for that Starrcade 83 match and the series of matches they had with Slaughter and Kernodle, as well as the Briscoes. And Sting and Luger, no. I mean, they were a good team. They were good tag team champions, and they had teamed up on occasion. No. Like, as far as great tag teams, I wouldn't have put them here. They had their moments, but they were what they were. The Freebirds, I mean, Hayes, Gordy, and Roberts, and to a much lesser extent, Hayes and Garvin, Jimmy Jam Garvin, that is, the original Freebirds were a lot better, and they helped light World Class on fire, which probably explains why the company burned out so quickly. Har har. And then the Von Erichs. That rivalry was fucking incredible. But no, the Freebirds wrestled, in the AWA. They wrestled very briefly in WWE. Very, very briefly. Imagine if they had actually been able to stick around and if they had done less partying. But anyway, the Freebirds and the Von Erichs, they're in lockstep. That's one of the best rivalries of all time. And then RVD and Sabu, okay. I mean, I guess for ECW completionists, yeah, they do deserve that. RVD nearly losing his goddamn eyelid because a table piece cut it. I can't remember what match it was. What, against the former Hakushi and Hayabusa? Was that it? Am I just mixing tag teams? But anyway, we then get the Midnight Express, whether Eaton and Condrey or Eaton and Lane, Cornette falling off the scaffold, all that. The Midnight Express absolutely deserve to be mentioned, as do the Rock and Roll Express. Midnight and Rock and Roll in Mid-South, as well as Jim Crockett Promotions, set a lot of records, did a lot of really great business because they could work well together. Because, yes, the Expresses were complete opposites. But they gelled so well together. And then we get the Hollywood Blondes, Austin and Pillman. Should have stuck together a whole lot longer, but it was a shame that politics got in the way, i.e. Ric Flair saying, hey, we're just going to break this team up. That's why you don't let active wrestlers be the bookers. That's also why you have intelligent people be bookers. I'll talk about that in another video. The Four Horsemen, especially Arn and Tully. How could you not put Arn and Tully on there? And then Harlem Heat. One of my favorite tag teams of all time. They would be in my top 5 easily. Now we get to the Hart Foundation. 1,000%. I mean, come on. Of course, this would have actually been my choice if it was a WWE-centric list. Because the Hart Foundation, when they started out, you know, they had Bret come in, they had Neidhart come in, they had Bulldog and Dynamite come in. And the Hart Foundation were just really, really fucking tremendous. Great technician. Well, I mean, Neidhart was more of the brawler, but I mean, Neidhart could wrestle. But Bret, you know, my favorite wrestler of all time. So yes, maybe I'm a little bit biased on this, but I recognize why the other two teams were put above. But I may have some criticism. Absolutely, Bret and Jim Neidhart should be on here because they were aligned with Jimmy Hart. They beat the British Bulldogs for the tag team championships when Dynamite had that back injury. Oh no, the poor sad sack of shit that abused people got karma biting him. Oh no, maybe he shouldn't have done stuff to the point that he did so many steroids that his goddamn body was broken up. And also the amount of bumps he took. Enough dumping on Dynamite. Check out my Dark Side of the Ring review if you want to hear more about that. They were multi-time tag team champions. They, you know, were tag team champions as recently as, well, you know, up to 1991 when they lost to the Nasty Boys, and then they quietly went their separate ways, like that Journey song. And Bret achieved, you know, much success as a singles wrestler. Jim Neidhart would team up with Owen as the new foundation. It would bounce around. Then they would reform the Hart Foundation as a stable, and that tremendous fucking match at Canadian Stampede. In Your House Canadian Stampede, July of 97. That 10-man tag was fucking incredible. The Hart Foundation, I can go on, but I'm not going to go on because I've already gone on till the beat of dawn. That's not even how the lyrics work. Let's just move on from Rapper's Delight and finish up by saying that the Hart Foundation were fucking great. Number 2, the Hardys. Okay, long-lasting with longevity, and the fact the TLC matches and the innovation that they had and the clear passion they had. Whether they were in WWE, whether they were in Impact, whatever they've been doing. And they had that, you know, run on the Indies and everything where they wrestled in Ring of Honor right before they came back at WrestleMania 33, and they did some really good stuff. Like, there's no denying the Hardys have a tremendous impact. Personal feelings aside, because I have my reasons, everybody goes through ups and downs. I'm glad to see that both Hardys are clean because addiction is a disease, and I'm glad that they're good. But those TLC matches, Jeff just being absolutely destroyed in these ladder matches, absolutely destroying himself, which probably explains why he can't fucking walk. And the tag gold, the singles gold, everything. The Hardys absolutely deserve to be up here. I would have flipped it. I would have put the Hart Foundation above them personally, but I get why the Hardys are up here. Then we get to number 1, the New Day. No, it's not that the New Day don't deserve to be mentioned in the top 10. For longevity and for the amount of tag gold that they had and that feud with the Usos and a lot of great shit that they've done. Kofi being the singles champion, you know, WWE champion. Xavier being practically the Buddy Roberts of the group, where he's like, it's almost forgotten how good he is. And Big E being Intercontinental champion, you know, former Intercontinental champion, 2-time Intercontinental champion. New Day is really long lasting and they're really good. And there's the fact that they're still together. I mean, yeah, they're on 2 separate brands, but the fact that they're still referred to as a New Day, Big E is doing his own thing, but they're still a stable, at least in spirit. The fact that they lasted as long as they did is fucking incredible, and especially with how they were presented initially. I would have liked to have seen how they could have gone, being presented as like these, you know, it's like almost a newer Nation of Domination. But in retrospect, the marketability and the fact that, yes, they're cartoons, unicorns, rainbows, and pancakes and stuff like that, maybe go a little bit too far. But there's no denying their popularity. There's no denying that. Now, I would have put him probably in the top. I would have put him in the top 10. I wouldn't have put him in number 1. I would have put the Hart Foundation at number 1. But I totally get. Yes, it's WWE nowism, if that's even a word. But it makes sense why the New Day are number 1. So those are my thoughts. Would you have put New Day at number 1? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.